What is Ulta doing right? Let's start there because these are nice results.
They are good results, kind of a really clean beat and raise. I mean, their net sales were up 13% in the most recent quarter. Some of that is because they acquired a UK and Irish beauty company that helped boost those results, but still really great numbers. And I think one of the things that they're doing well is Ulta has a really wide range of products. So they have kind of the low, the medium, and the high. So that can be, fragrances that cost $200, makeup that can cost about that much, all the way down to, lip gloss that could cost $5 or $6. And so one of the reasons that's important now is with some of this, unclear signals from consumers. Some consumers are trading down. You can still go to Ulta and trade down within Ulta, right? If you were buying that really expensive perfume last year, now you want to save some money, you can buy a less expensive perfume, but you don't need to leave Ulta to do that. So I think that's one of the reasons that it's doing particularly well right now.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating, just the whole beauty space. And you're right, it's quite a range. There's so much out there. In terms of commentary, we did see the CEO cautioning or saying that consumers remain watchful and they are seeking value as their wallets are pressured. And I feel like, Jeannette, you and the team have all been breaking down all of the retail earnings. That seems to be a common narrative. Even the retailers that do well, they're saying consumers are cautious.
That stood out exactly to me as well. It's like net sales were up in the most recent quarter 13%. Ulta raised its comparable sales. They're expecting now for the full year up 4.7% from up 3.5% that they had said in August. So just a few months ago. I mean, they're expecting to do much better, and yet still the CEO Kesha Steelman said, but we know consumers are being watchful, which just kind of seems at odds, right, with how the company actually did. And I think part of that is that we do still have a long way to go in the rest of the holiday shopping season. So I think, CEOs want to be cautious because of that. But I just think it speaks to this honestly kind of wacky world that we're living in, where you see consumer sentiment, hitting all-time lows, and yet we have a relatively good, robust Black Friday, and retailers that had been kind of cautioning about a slowdown heading into the holiday are actually posting relatively good results. So I just think it speaks to the volatility that all of these companies have lived with. I mean, since the pandemic, and they're now used to it and saying, okay, we can't call what's going to happen, in the economy. So we'll just make sure to couch any success with the idea that, it may not continue.
To get back to the idea of like what Ulta is doing right, they have this loyalty program, which is actually pretty good, because I know that I have a loyalty program from Sephora. And frankly, it's confusing, and I don't really feel like I get a lot out of it. Sorry, Sephora. But I think Ulta may have one up on Sephora there. I know Sephora's, not publicly traded. But I mean, things like the loyalty program, their online marketplace, are those like differentiators, you think, for Ulta?
I think their loyalty program is an incredibly popular loyalty program, and I'm not in either one, Sephora or Ulta, to be able to compare, but I do hear, similar to what you're saying, that people really like Ulta's loyalty program, and that's really been a focus, even for the prior CEO, and Steelman has continued that focus. So I think that's something that's important, as well as you mentioned the online marketplace, that just allows, with the boom in beauty, during and then post-pandemic, people are just really into trying new products. That kind of discovery, that's really fun for a lot of people. And opening up that online marketplace allows people to do that via Ulta. And another thing to note is Ulta has also expanded internationally. And in that sense, it's kind of following more in Sephora's footsteps, becoming a more international business. Sephora obviously initially based in Europe, and now all over the world. But Ulta's opening up in November. Just last month, they opened up in Kuwait, and they're opening up in, I think it's Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates earlier next year. So, as some analysts have said, kind of firing on all cylinders, which the results today seem to also indicate.
Kind of cool. And Amanda Mull did a deep dive on the company for Bloomberg Businessweek, and the headline on it is how Ulta became an $11 billion beauty behemoth by conquering suburbs and acting like Home Depot, more so than like like Sephora. So their model is definitely different. And you walk into a Sephora, it's a very different feel versus walking into an Ulta, but it seems to resonate.
It really does. It really does. And I think again, it's as Amanda wrote, it's about, expanding in the suburbs. So when you're going, maybe to shop at Walmart, you also are going to go, pick up what you need at Ulta. And I think, there's obviously been the Sephora Kids phenomenon with younger women in particular going into Sephora, but that's a name. And there's also Ulta Kids as well. And to a certain extent, Ulta,
There's Ulta
because
Kids. Did you know that?
No, I did not know
Wait,
this.
what's
What
Ulta
is
Kids?
that?
No, sorry. I'm saying there is Sephora Kids, but that's just kind of like a broad umbrella term. No, I just coined it right
She
now.
coined a new thing here.
I'm like, the
Bloomberg
CEO,
Businessweek.
Ulta CEO is calling you right now. Like, hey,
Yeah,
what's
exactly.
this about?
I mean, I think it's just the idea that younger people are not just shopping at Sephora, right? It
Yeah.
was kind of, I think the idea that younger people were shopping at Sephora stood out in part because the prices there are higher, and you normally think of that as a place where you would go when you have a little bit more money and you're maybe not just relying on your allowance to buy your beauty products. But these younger people are also shopping at Ulta. So it's a wider phenomenon than just Sephora. Younger people are really into beauty in a way, and cosmetics in a way that other generations at their age were not.
It's like skincare, for instance. They're spending
Exactly,
so much on
skincare.
skincare. I never thought about it. When I was 12, I was not thinking about skincare. Maybe I should have been.
Yeah. Listen,
I mean, if I would have been as into sunscreen as people who are, 11 and 12 now are, my dermatologist would be out of a job. So
I agree. I look at all these young folks and they're just like, their skin's perfect. And then they're like, well, I need some cover up. I'm like, what are you covering up?
Exactly.